What's going on, guys? It's X. We're back with a brand new video. I don't know why I just see these intros always just get me because I'm just like so confused about what I want to say. I don't have like actual like script or anything. I just go live most of the time. On that note though, we got across all the weird news that happened this past week. We got the Build-A-Fi news. We got the Vanguard situation, to put it mildly. Another piece of news came out like a couple days ago about Spirits Saga. Well, there was a lot of news, but then it just kept on piling over and over. So, what on earth is that? What on earth is the heck is that? What is it on my stream? It's a stream label that just never came off. Okay, I was like, is it dodging somebody? What's going on? Okay. I didn't even notice that. Has that been there the whole time? I just now noticed. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry, Key. I'm so sorry. This video has already started off terribly. So, alright, so let's actually talk about the Bowser news. Now, first off, I'm gonna preface this by saying like I really wanna like get into Spirits Saga and actually like do content on it. I'm probably not going to be like crazy with all like car reveals, etc., unless it involves mechanics or updating mechanics or new mechanics coming to the game. In fact, I might do a video about like potential mechanics that might transfer from Battle Spirits over to Spirits Saga in the future. That'd be a pretty interesting idea, right? So let's get to the first one. We're on the main page. We know about Spirits Saga and everything, but a big announcement was also made. Firstly was official cash prize tournaments, earn amazing prizes and everything. We don't exactly know the full details of regulations, but they put out a trailer and it goes on. They talk about Spirits Saga here. We get to see the card back, and we know the cash prize, full season cash prize, and the total prize pool will equal, I'll just skip to it, $1 million, which is the, can you get out the screen? Which is the total combined prize pool for all tournaments over the course of a year. Amount of tournament prize money and regulations may vary according to region. So that's important, right? It's not $1 million, it's $1 million pool for the entire season. For the course of the year. And that amount also depends on the region. But the fact that they have started off with $1 million of USD to start off with Spirits Saga is pretty interesting. It means they actually want to put some actual money into the game to give an incentive to play, which, that already came out the gate swinging. What can you say about that? So that's one thing. That also means that potentially, depending on what happens, it could get bigger and get smaller, right? If the game's going crazy, they can bump that up and up, and if the games go crazy. So that's an interesting take from there. So additional news that also came out, which is the products. So if we can look here, products first off, we've got Spirits Saga Set 1. We've got an update on that. MSRP for a pack is $4.99. Contains, booster pack has 12 cards each, and one box contains 24 booster packs. So if we get the calculator out, right, got 24 boosters, 24, and then multiply that by about $5, give or take. Potentially $120. I don't think that's going to be the full price, but we can only see. But there's they've also got the rarities, 272 types of cards, 68 commons, and that includes their holo versions, which confirmed we are getting holo alternates of Spirits cards. 32 uncommons, 24 rares, 12 X cross rares, 11 special rares, I guess they're SPs, and then one top rare, which is probably like the big price. And we've We also got a little like kind of leak that this is probably going to be like in April, that when Spirits Saga officially launches. So that's interesting. We also got more details on the Spirits Saga starter decks. $14.99 for starter decks. Comes with 50 cards. Excuse me. I just completely like fumbled that. We got the play sheet. We got 30 cores and 1 soul core. I am very new to Spirits, so I don't know what a soul core is. So, I apologize for not really having that information. But it is inside the actual thing, along with 30 decks. With 30 cores individually. So I guess, you know what? Let's check it out. What's a soul core? Soul core Bowser. What is that? A game mechanic which debuted with the Burning Soul anime. Soul core special core that replaces one of the 4 standing reserve core. You can activate special effects of spirits or nexuses being used for leveling. You can activate additional effects of magic when used to pay the cost. So, special core, which you have 1 of per game, you can put in the spirits to use pay costs, activate effects. You can choose whether to use it or not. It can be used to be pay costs like regular cores. It can be moved by awaken and core moving effects. And a bunch of other like stuff that can be kind of like that. What was Spirits Burning Soul? It had to have been Sunrise. New work. Like, was this the Tokyo? The previous Zero Spirits. So this was. I'm going to possibly assume. Let me do a little bit more research here. It's been a minute. Okay, I think that just kind of confirms. Yeah, this is a mechanic that's come over from a deeper piece of the game. So that means they're actually adding in. They're actually really going to adjust some of the cards in the game to add in soul cores from these assumedly early cards. So that's going to be very interesting how that goes through in the rest of the game. So, got this. And in Spirits core set, which will be $9.99, comes out in spring. You'll have 2 boosters, 2 promo cards, same type. I'm assuming it's going to be like a specific promo. 15 additional cores and an additional soul core. So if you don't want, if you don't want any of these like starter decks and probably want to like start off with a deck from the booster, you can do that. Might be nice if you just want like a big chunk of stuff, but you don't want to buy a starter deck, which is pretty cool. Also, another information that was changed, if I can it probably isn't in rules, but I know that for a fact that the actual Spirits cards used to be small size like Vanguard and Yu-Gi-Oh, but now with Saga they've made them to standard, which is like Magic and Pokemon. So that's going to be that's going to be interesting. I know a lot of people kind of like small for Spirits, but some people also like having standard because it's just a lot more space on the card to like put card effects and whatnot. So that your mileage may vary on that situation. So next we also got the official rule manual play sheet. It got posted on Twitter for the PDFs. So we have the actual we have the field right here, like a baseline of the field. We've got where you place your deck, you place cards that are discarded, basically the whole trash, discard cards and use cores. We have the life, started with 5 cores is your life, the damage moves to reserve, burst, there's cards with burst effects here face down, reserve, accumulate cores here. We have the game steps as well as the whole field, start step, core step, draw step, refresh step, main step, attack step, end step, and then switch to your opponent's turn. So this is the field right here. Looks pretty cool. I like kind of the outer background, really Really good. Just tells you like where you place everything, what a base like field should be, right? Now we go on to the actual game rules, and if we look here, firstly, if I can move up and we start here, we need to play 1 deck per person, 3 kinds of cards in Spirits Saga: Spirits, Nexuses, and Magic. Your deck is made of 50 or more cards, or you're choosing, which, if I remember reading, the original Spirits was 40 cards. You can have up to 4 copies of a card with the same name. That also changed. It used to be 3, now it's 4. And you have cores. You need about 30 chips or cards per person to use as cores. If you run out of cores during the game, use any handy item as extra cores. Like you got some dice, just bring that suckers here. You need them. Each player also has 1 soul core, which should be easy to tell apart from other regular cores. So, we're getting ready to play. You follow steps to below step to game. Pick a spot to the side of your play sheet to be the void where you place your cores. That would be it. Void, just some place to place them. Shuffle your deck, then shuffle your opponent's deck. Place your deck face down. Yada yada. Take 5 cores from the void and place them into the life area of your play sheet. And you take 3 cores and your soul core from the void and place them into the reserve area of your play sheet. So you start with 4 cores basically, you put 5 cores for life, bam. Then you draw 4 cards from your deck, and this is your starting hand. And then you use random methods such as rock, paper, scissors to determine player 1 and player 2. And then starting with player 1, each player declares whether they will mulligan, redraw their hand, which you have to redraw their hand. Players who choose to mulligan then return their current hand to the bottom of their deck and draw 4 new cards from the top of their deck. Then reshuffle that deck the same way as described in step 2. Players who choose not to mulligan draw an additional card, making their starting hand total 5 cards. Alright, so let's kind of talk about this type of mulligan. It's very interesting. It's effectively... Excuse me, I just yawned there. So starting with the mulligan section, I think it's an interesting way to put in the mulligan, where it's like, yeah, if you have basically 2 ways to kind of fix your hand, right? If your hand is just booty cheeks trash and it's like, I can't make any plays for this, you basically put them to the bottom of the deck and redraw again, then shuffle. Very similar to like Modern Vanguard now, which is like, hey, your hand is just completely terrible, put those to the back, draw. Whereas if you choose not to mulligan, you just draw a card again and just get an additional chance to also somewhat fix that hand, right? I think kind of like the things about like comparing it to Vanguard, the mulligan for Battle Spirits is kind of odd because it's like, Vanguard, you can choose which cards you want to send back and then draw that same amount. Whereas Battle Spirits, you just have to dump the whole hand and draw the same amount. So there's a card you probably, I probably want this in my starting hand, but the other 2 cards are so terrible, I don't want them. You have to get rid of that 1 card and just hope you draw like your other 3 copies in the same, like in that similar hand. Also, choosing not to mulligan. Choosing to mulligan means you now lose out on an additional card early in the game. So it really will depend on, the type of hand and everything. It will depend on when we finally get the start decks and actually get to play around with the game and see if these changes actually work. So let's go to victory conditions. Easy. First player to achieve 1 of the following victory conditions wins the game. Your opponent's life is reduced to 0. Your opponent has no cards left in their deck on their start step. Simple things. 5 points to 0. No cards in start step. Now we go to game steps, and this is going to be more explanations. Start step, core step, draw step, refresh step, main step, attack step, and end step. And I'm trying to not accidentally burp or something. All these are step 1 through 7. So steps 1 through 4, start through refresh. Now you begin your turn. Core step, take 1 core from the void and place it into your reserve. Player 1 must skip this step on their first turn. So you can't, because you're going first, you cannot gain cores. That is interesting. Next, draw step. Draw one card from your deck in your hand. So you still draw. You don't really lose a lot of value off of that, right? You just lose that one core, which, depending on how Battle Spirits goes, really important. And then refresh step. Refresh any exhausted cards. Cards turn horizontally. Cards turn horizontal by turning them vertical. Move any cores in your trash to reserve. Okay. I was like, wait, what? It's like, okay, so it's like just untap all your already used cards and then put all your cores back to the reserve. Move all the cores into the reserve. Okay. Not from the void, but into the reserve. Okay. I see now. So we're going. So step 5, main step. Place, use, or summon cards in your hand. Move cores or set burst cards. In this step, you may perform various actions such as summoning spirits or rearranging cores. You may do so in any order and as many times as you want. Alright, so you can do summon pretty much anything as many times you want within the commands. So if we go over here, this probably gives us more details. Start with the main step. Place, use, or summon cards in your hand. You may use cores to pay the cost of cards in your hand in order to summon them onto the field or to use them as magic. The way you pay a card's cost is the same for all cards in the game. There is no limit to the number of spirits or nexuses you can have on the field. So how to pay a card's cost? Reveal the card, then check the cost written on the upper left corner. So we zoom in around here. This is the cost, and this is a symbol that'll be important. Do you check the number of reduction symbols? Example is Spirit Example right up here for Seaworm. And then you check the number of symbols currently on your field. You know, so they have here, we've got 3 symbols, right? 3 symbols that they want to check. For that bomb symbol. Determine the net cost, card cost, usable reduction symbols. You can only reduce the cost by the amount of reduction symbols on the card, even if there are more than that number of matching symbols on the field. The spirit has 3 red reduction symbols, and there are 3 red symbols on the field. You can subtract all 3 symbols from the cost. 6 minus 3 equals 3 net cost. So if we go here, the cost is both. Okay, so it's kind of like weird how they kind of like circled it, because it's like it's not in the actual circled all that well. So if you see here, and I got my marker right here, the cost is 6 right here. So you have 6, and then you've got 3. Man, I remember this from. It's very similar to, you know, I've never really talked about Zenzard that much, but it's very similar to, and this is why probably that game worked the way it does, is Zenzard, which is, you know, we're kind of use mana and stuff, but it's somewhat similar but also different. I'm rambling, sorry. So, you know, you have the 6 costs here. That's the actual cost for the card, right? It's kind of like on the edge of the like being kicked out, but it's important because they also want to get the 3 reduction symbols right there. So what it is what they're saying is, for each card already on the board has a reduction symbol. So if you already have cards on the board, and to then pay the cost, so if you have 3 cards on the board and you're trying to summon the 6 unit, the actual cost is based on the amount of reduction symbols on the board. So that's what they're trying to say. So if you've got 3 red reduction symbols on the board, you now subtract those symbols from the cost. So now from a 6 drop, it now becomes up to a 3 drop instead, basically. So now you move a number of cores equal to the net cost into your trash. You can pay using any combination of cores in your reserve and cores already on cards on the field. So for example, you've got 2 in reserve, you've got 1 on a card on the field, you move those to the trash, you now play Seaworm on the board. Bang. So that's how it works. So finish summoning or using the card. To finish summoning a spirit or placing a nexus, let me zoom out a bit. Take cores from the reserve or the field and place them onto the new card. You must place at least as many cores as indicated by the card's lowest level. Cards without the excuse me, without the requisite number of cores are destroyed and placed into your trash. For magic cards, activate the card's effect. After the effect is resolved, place the card into your trash. So let's kind of look at this a little bit. So say we got a spirit level 1, 4K 1. So what it is now, you place 1 core on it. And for a spell, we've got level 1, 0 cores on it. So we just played it, no real cores. So you play it and then you immediately put a core on it. But if I'm assuming, and this is, I haven't read further, so we go here. If you cannot put the actual core on the card itself, it is then destroyed and placed into trash. So that's why it's you finish summoning the card, because now you actually have a core on the card. And if you don't have a core on the card, the cards without the cores are destroyed. If that's what I'm understanding, that's how it works. Okay. So setting burst cards. Once per turn, you may set a burst card by taking a card from your hand that has a burst effect and placing it face down on the burst area. If there's already a set burst card, you may discard it and set a new burst card. When a set card's burst conditions are met, you can use the burst card and activate its effect without paying its cost. So basically, they've made, another trap card. Bam. Move cores. You may freely take cores that are on cards on your field or in your reserve and rearrange them as you like on your spirits and nexuses. So you can basically move them as much as you want. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So that's that first core you don't lose is actually kind of a balancing thing, so that you don't just immediately slap cores on one whole card and just go crazy. Okay, that sounds like an interesting balancing thing. Next we have to set step 6, the attack step, attack and battle. Player 1 must skip this step on their first turn. Understandable, most games can't attack on your first turn. On your turn, you may attack with a refreshed spirit that is on your field by exhausting it. Your opponent may then block with a refreshed spirit. You may continue to attack as many times as you want, provided you have a refreshed spirit available. So basically, so long as your spirit is standing, you can attack. Same with cards there, you can block too. So here we go. If your spirit is not blocked, reduce your opponent's life by an amount equal to the attacking spirit's symbols. Place those lost life cores into your opponent's reserve. So very much like Vanguard's criticals, again using Vanguard as a term here. So this has one with one symbol. You hit it, dump it to life, and that life goes to reserve. So very similar to Vanguard. Again, Vanguard buddy fight. Well, Vanguard and Dragon Ball Super, not buddy fight, but Dragon Ball Super, games with life decking systems somewhat, but in a different way, where that damage you would take becomes an actual resource, right? So Vanguard, you take a hit to top deck, you put into your damage. Now you've got more counterblast to use. Dragon Ball Super, you take a hit in your life, put that life into your hand, now you've got an extra card to play. Etc. etc. So if your spirit is blocked, compare BP, which is battle point. The spirit with the lower BP is destroyed. If the spirits have equal BP, both spirits are destroyed. So let's kind of look at what's going on here. Both spirits. So we have an example here: Seagram versus Rain Needle. Rain Needle has 1000 BP, and Seaworm has 4000 PP because they're both level 1. So 4000, 1000. Place all cores from Destroyed Spirit into reserve. If Seaworm hits, bam, this is destroyed. This gets to the trash. The cores then go into the reserve, so they come back to be used later. So that is, and then this is basically the information on refreshed and exhausted. Vertical cards are refreshed, horizontal cards are exhausted. Attacks and blocks are performed by refreshed spirits. So flash windows. There are 2 flash windows in the attack step, before and after declaring a block. You can use card effects labeled flash during these windows. Pay the card's cost the same way it's described in the main step. The defending player gets the first chance to either use a flash or pass, followed by the attacker, then the defender again, and so on, switching back and forth. Resolve the flash effects immediately. A flash window ends when there are 2 passes in a row. So when both you and your opponent just have no other plays to make, that's when the flash windows are over, and then you move on with your play. And then end step, which is all temporary effects activate, then this turn comes to the end and you switch sides. So that is all of the Battle Spirits rules we have currently. Let me move this back to its normal thing, I guess, right here. So that is all the rules and everything. I actually like the ideas of all the rules about Spirits Saga. Doesn't feel, it feels like a system that has been updated to more modern times, while still assumedly staying as true as possible to the game it came from. Because Battle Saga is a different game from Battle Spirits, but it is also still Battle Spirits, if that makes sense. So overall, I'm actually interested in this, and I can't wait for more stuff to come out. I actually do a Battle Spirits stream one day, so yeah, I'm intrigued. So that's gonna do it for this video. If you liked the content you've been seeing, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.